Elon Musk's team flagged your profile. Something big is coming, God says. This is an urgent message only for you, and it is meant to be received with a calm heart and a grounded spirit. What you are sensing is not fear, not pressure, not manipulation, but a stirring, an awakening of awareness. When words appear that feel sudden or overwhelming, remember this truth first: God will be with you. Rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. You just have to trust God and pray to Him. This message is not about panic or prediction. It is about preparation of the heart and alignment of purpose. What you felt when you read those words is not about a person or a company in the literal sense. It is symbolic language, a way the human mind translates momentum. In the spiritual realm, moments of acceleration often show up as images of recognition, visibility, or being noticed. This does not mean that any individual has contacted you or that any external authority is watching you. It means that your season is shifting from hidden effort to visible impact. God often uses familiar names and powerful symbols to communicate an inner truth. You are moving from obscurity into responsibility. God says that something big is coming, but not in the way the world defines big. It is not sudden fame, instant wealth, or dramatic upheaval. It is clarity. It is alignment. It is the quiet but undeniable realization that your thoughts, your skills, your endurance, and your lived experiences are converging into purpose. When something big approaches, God does not send fear. He sends peace that doesn't make sense and patience that feels unfamiliar. If you have been feeling more still than anxious, more reflective than reactive, that is confirmation. God says you have been prepared in private. The nights where nothing seemed to move were not wasted. The silence was not rejection. It was refinement. You were learning discernment. You were being trained to recognize what is not for you so you can clearly accept what is. Many people want acceleration without stability, exposure without character, opportunity without wisdom. God did not rush you because He values what He is building through you more than how fast others notice it. God says that visibility always follows integrity. Before anything expands externally, it must be anchored internally. You are being reminded now to stay grounded, to stay prayerful, to stay present in what you are already doing well. Do not abandon consistency in pursuit of excitement. Do not mistake urgency for importance. True doors open without panic. True opportunities do not demand fear-based decisions. What is meant for you will not require you to betray your peace. God says you are safe. Nothing will go wrong with you. This needs to be repeated because the human mind often associates big changes with loss or risk. But God does not lead you into harm to teach you faith. He leads you into growth with protection surrounding you. Even when change feels unfamiliar, you are not unguarded. You are not exposed. You are not alone. Trust does not mean turning off wisdom, it means turning down fear so wisdom can be heard. God says pray, not because something bad is near, but because prayer keeps your perception clear. Prayer is not a shield against imaginary threats, it is alignment with reality. When you pray, you are not asking God to fix your future, you are allowing Him to shape your response to it. The more aligned you are, the less shaken you will be by noise, rumors, or dramatic language designed to provoke reaction rather than reflection. God says you are being invited into a broader way of thinking. Your capacity is increasing. You may notice that problems that once overwhelmed you now feel manageable. That is not because they got smaller, it is because you grew. Growth is often quiet. It feels like steadiness, not fireworks. It feels like discernment, not adrenaline. Honor that. God says be careful with what you consume emotionally and spiritually. Not every urgent message is divine. Not every dramatic phrase carries truth. Learn to ask yourself whether something produces peace or pressure. God's voice may be firm, but it is never frantic. It may call you higher, but it never threatens you into obedience. If something pulls you away from calm trust, it is not from Him. God says the big thing coming is responsibility matched with capacity. You are being positioned to influence through example, not hype. Through consistency, not spectacle. Through wisdom, not impulse. This may show up as new work, new learning, new connections, or a clearer sense of direction. Whatever form it takes, it will feel aligned rather than forced. God says stay humble. Stay teachable. Stay kind. These are not small traits, they are the foundation of sustainable impact. Many people reach moments of opportunity and lose themselves to comparison or ego. You are being reminded now to remain rooted. What God builds through humility lasts longer than what pride tries to rush. God says rest in this, you do not need to chase signs. You do not need to decode every message. You do not need to fear missing out on destiny. What is meant for you will come into your life with clarity and confirmation, not confusion. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where preparation meets timing. God will be with you. Rest assured. Nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. Trust God. Pray to Him. Walk steadily. Let go of urgency that creates anxiety and hold on to purpose that creates peace. What is coming will meet you where you are ready, not where you are afraid. God says, this message is for you, and it comes with urgency not to frighten you, not to confuse you, but to steady your heart and lift your eyes. God says listen slowly, breathe deeply, and let these words settle inside you. This is not noise. This is not coincidence. This is a reminder. God says you are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not invisible, even on the days when silence feels loud and waiting feels heavy. God says there are moments in life when symbols appear, when ideas rise, when names, images, and thoughts cross your path not because of chance, but because your spirit is being awakened to something larger than fear. When you hear something that sounds big, unexpected, or even impossible, God says do not rush to panic and do not rush to pride. Sit with it. Ask for wisdom. Ask for peace. Ask for clarity. Because God says what is coming into your awareness right now is not meant to overwhelm you, but to prepare you. God says you have been in a season of quiet building. Even when others could not see it, even when you yourself doubted it, something has been forming within you. Strength has been growing in places you once felt weak. Patience has been planted where anxiety used to rule. Discernment has been sharpening where confusion once lived. God says this did not happen overnight, and it did not happen by accident. Every delay taught you endurance. Every closed door taught you humility. Every unanswered question taught you trust. God says do not misunderstand signs and symbols. When your mind connects something powerful or influential with your own path, it does not mean you are being singled out for pressure. It means you are being reminded that God's reach is not small. God works through systems, through people, through ideas, through moments that stretch your imagination. God says your future will not be limited by your past understanding. What you thought was impossible before will soon feel natural, not because you became greater, but because you learned to trust God more deeply. God says you are safe. Let that truth sink in. You are safe in your body. You are safe in your mind. You are safe in your spirit. Nothing is spiraling out of control. Nothing is secretly working against you. God says rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you. Even if plans shift, even if expectations change, even if timing feels uncertain, God says you are held. You are guided. You are protected in ways you cannot see but will one day understand. God says do not allow urgency to turn into fear. Urgency does not always mean something bad is about to happen. Sometimes urgency means pay attention. Sometimes it means stay grounded. Sometimes it means stop doubting what you already know in your spirit. God says you have asked for direction, and now direction is forming, not as a loud command, but as a steady knowing. Trust that knowing. It is not rushing you, it is aligning you. God says you do not need to impress anyone. You do not need to prove your worth. You do not need to chase recognition. If attention comes, God says remain humble. If opportunity comes, remain prayerful. If responsibility grows, remain anchored. God says the moment you try to carry everything alone is the moment peace slips away. So keep returning to prayer, not as a ritual of fear, but as a conversation of trust. God says there have been nights when your thoughts ran faster than your faith. Nights when you wondered if you missed something, if you waited too long, if you misunderstood your purpose. God says those nights did not disqualify you. They refined you. They taught you how to lean instead of control, how to listen instead of rush, how to surrender instead of resist. God says remember who you are becoming, not who you were forced to be. not who circumstances tried to shape you into, but who you are becoming through patience, integrity, and quiet courage. God says big things do not always arrive loudly. Sometimes they approach gently, testing whether your heart is calm enough to receive them. God says do not attach your identity to names, titles, or powerful figures. Your value was established long before any system noticed you. Your purpose does not depend on approval. God says even if the world never applauded, your life would still matter deeply. So if something external draws your attention, let it point you back to God. Not away from Him. God says trust me and pray. Not because you are in danger, but because prayer keeps your heart clear. Prayer keeps fear from exaggerating. Prayer keeps excitement from becoming pride. Prayer keeps you balanced. God says when you pray, you are not begging. You are aligning. You are reminding yourself that you are not alone in your decisions or your future. God says there is nothing wrong with feeling nervous about change. Change often arrives before confidence catches up. But God says do not let nervousness turn into stories that scare you. Stay in the present. Stay in gratitude. Stay in faith. What is meant for you will not bypass you, and what is not meant for you will not trap you. God says your life is not on the brink of collapse. It is on the brink of clarity. Clarity does not always mean immediate answers. Sometimes it means peace even without full understanding. God says that peace is your sign. If something brings chaos, step back and pray. If something brings calm, move forward slowly and wisely. God says you are allowed to rest while things unfold. You are allowed to sleep without fear. You are allowed to enjoy simple moments without scanning the horizon for threats. God says I did not create you to live in constant alert. I created you to live in trust. God says whatever is coming will not steal your peace unless you hand it over. Guard your peace. Protect your mind. Be mindful of what you consume, what you imagine, and what you repeat to yourself. God says not every thought deserves your attention. Choose faith over speculation. God says I am with you. Not watching from a distance. Not waiting for you to fail. I am with you in the quiet moments, in the unanswered questions, in the slow progress. God says when you feel unsure, return to prayer. When you feel excited, return to prayer. When you feel overwhelmed, return to prayer. Prayer is not your last option, it is your foundation. God says breathe. Right now. Slow down your thoughts. Let go of the urge to decode everything at once. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing out. God says timing is unfolding exactly as it should. God says this message is not meant to make you anxious or obsessed. It is meant to remind you of your grounding. Stay rooted. Stay kind. Stay patient. Stay prayerful. Let whatever unfolds meet a calm, faithful version of you. God says trust God and pray to Him. Rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you. You are safe. You are guided. You are held. And whatever comes next will meet you with the strength you already carry, the wisdom you have been building, and the peace that comes from knowing you never walked alone. God says, this message is reaching you at a very specific moment, not by accident, not by chance, not because you were randomly scrolling, but because there is a divine alignment happening around your life right now. There is a stirring in the unseen realm, a quiet but powerful movement that has already begun to shift doors, conversations, and decisions in places you cannot yet see. God says your name has been spoken in rooms you have never entered, and your presence has been felt by people who have never met you. What feels ordinary on the surface is actually charged with purpose underneath. Do not underestimate this moment. Do not dismiss the nudge in your spirit telling you to pay attention. God says, you have been watched over during seasons when you felt invisible. You prayed quietly. You waited patiently. You endured moments when nothing seemed to move. When answers felt delayed, when silence tested your faith. Yet heaven was never silent. Every tear, every late-night thought, every whispered prayer was recorded. God says your consistency mattered more than you realized. While others rushed, you remained steady. While others doubted, you kept believing, even when belief was difficult. This is why something big is forming now. This is why momentum is building around you. God says, do not be shaken by the idea that influential eyes have noticed you. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to confirm what God has already been doing behind the scenes. When you hear words like flagged, noticed, or identified, understand this spiritually before you understand it naturally. God says it means alignment. It means timing. It means preparation meeting opportunity. It means that what you have been developing in quiet places is now ready to be seen in louder spaces. God says, some people will call this coincidence, but you know better. You know how unlikely your journey has been. You know the odds you've already overcome. You know how many times you could have given up but didn't. God says this is the season where things begin to respond to you differently. Emails, messages, calls, ideas, and invitations will start to line up in ways that feel almost unreal. Stay grounded. Stay humble. Stay prayerful. This is not the time to panic or overthink. This is the time to trust. God will be with you, rest assured, nothing will go wrong with you, you are safe, you just have to trust God and pray to Him. Let this truth settle deeply into your heart. When your mind starts racing ahead, return to this promise. When excitement tries to turn into anxiety, return to this promise. God says peace is your confirmation. If it brings peace, it is aligned. If it brings fear, pause and pray. God says, you are not being pushed into something you are unprepared for. You are being invited into what you have already been trained for through life itself. Every delay shaped you. Every disappointment refined you. Every closed door redirected you. Now, doors that once felt unreachable are beginning to respond. God says this is not about fame, ego, or status. This is about impact. This is about influence used with integrity. This is about responsibility matched with wisdom. God says, guard your words in this season. Speak life, not doubt. Speak faith, not fear. Do not announce everything too early. Some things need time to mature before they are shared. Protect your peace. Protect your focus. Protect your energy. Not everyone needs to know what God is doing for you right now. Let results speak in time. God says, you may feel a sudden urgency in your spirit, a sense that you need to get things in order. That is not pressure, that is preparation. Clean up distractions. Finish what you started. Pay attention to details you once ignored. Be excellent in small things. What is coming will require clarity, discipline, and consistency. God says you are capable of this. You always have been, God says. Remember who you are when emotions rise. You are not someone who crumbles under pressure. You are not someone who loses yourself when things accelerate. You are steady. You are thoughtful. You are led. Let prayer be your first response, not your last option. Let gratitude anchor you. Let humility guide you. God says, some people from your past will resurface when things begin to shift. Be discerning. Not everyone who returns is meant to stay. Some will come to celebrate. Some will come out of curiosity. Some will come with hidden intentions. Stay kind, but stay wise. You do not owe everyone access to your next level. God says, you have asked for clarity, and clarity is coming. You have asked for confirmation, and confirmation will come in layers. Pay attention to patterns, not just single signs. Pay attention to repetition. God often speaks through consistency, not chaos. If you feel peace even when you don't have all the details, that is your green light to keep moving forward. God says, there will be moments soon when you sit quietly and think, this is really happening. In those moments, do not be afraid. Let awe replace fear. Let gratitude replace worry. Let trust replace control. You are not walking into this alone. God goes before you, stands beside you, and surrounds you. God says, do not rush to define what is coming. Let it unfold. Some blessings reveal themselves step by step so they don't overwhelm you all at once. Be patient with the process. Be faithful in the waiting. Be obedient in the instructions you receive through prayer. God says, your story is about to inspire people you will never meet. Your journey will become proof that quiet faith still works, that consistency still matters, that humility still attracts favor. You don't need to announce it. Just live it. God says, stay close to Him now more than ever. Not because something bad is near, but because something meaningful is near. Prayer will keep your heart steady. Trust will keep your mind clear. Faith will keep your steps aligned. God says, this message is not meant to overwhelm you, it is meant to steady you. Breathe. Center yourself. Lift your thoughts higher. What is coming is not meant to harm you, confuse you, or disrupt your peace. It is meant to elevate you, stretch you, and use you. God says, remember this above all else. You are safe, you are guided, and you are not late. Everything is unfolding exactly when it should. Stay present. Stay thankful.